Alright, so today I went back into Roblox, but this time, I decided to test some of the most popular obby games and find out which ones are actually fun, and which ones just waste your time. Because let's be real, not all obbies are the same. Some are way too easy, some are just repetitive, and some are straight up annoying for no reason. Like, you miss one jump and suddenly you're all the way back at the start. So I picked 5 different obby games, played through them properly, and ranked them from worst to best based on difficulty, creativity, and how fun they actually are to play. And trust me, some of these were way more chaotic than I expected. Alright, starting off at number 5, we've got Mega Obby Fun. Now the name already tells you what kind of game this is. It's one of those massive, colorful obbies with a ton of stages, bright visuals, and simple mechanics. When I first joined, it actually looked pretty fun. You've got all these different levels, rainbow paths, jumps, moving platforms. It feels like there's a lot to do. And at the beginning, it is fun. You're jumping through levels, progressing fast, hitting checkpoint after checkpoint. It gives you that satisfying feeling like you're flying through the game. But after a while, that's where things start to change. The biggest issue with Mega Obby Fun is that it gets repetitive really quickly. A lot of the stages feel very similar. You're doing the same types of jumps, the same obstacles, just with slightly different colors or layouts. So after some time, it starts feeling less like a challenge and more like you're just going through the motions. And because of that, it doesn't really stay exciting for long. Another thing is the difficulty. It's pretty easy overall. You might mess up here and there, but most of the time you're just progressing without needing to think too much. There's not a lot of moments where you feel like you actually accomplished something difficult. It's more chill than challenging. Now don't get me wrong, that's not always a bad thing. If you just want a relaxed obby to play without getting stressed, this game actually does that pretty well. You can just hop in, vibe, and keep moving forward. But compared to the rest of the games on this list, it just doesn't have enough variety or challenge to stand out. So yeah, Mega Obby Fun takes the number 5 spot. And trust me, it only gets better from here. Coming in at number 4, we've got Escape School Obby. Now this one already feels more like a classic Roblox obby the moment you load in. You've got the whole school setting, classrooms, hallways, obstacles everywhere, and straight away, it gives you that nostalgic obby vibe. At first, it seems pretty simple. You start going through the stages, jumping over objects, avoiding traps, moving through different rooms, nothing too crazy. But the more I played, the more it actually started getting interesting. The levels are designed in a way where they keep switching things up. One minute you're doing basic jumps, the next you're dodging lasers, then suddenly you're climbing or timing your movements properly. It's not just the same thing over and over again. And that's what makes it fun. It keeps you engaged without being too difficult or frustrating. But at the same time, it's not perfect. Some parts feel a bit predictable, and once you've played a few stages, you kinda know what to expect next. It doesn't really surprise you that much after a while. Also, the difficulty isn't that high. Like, you might fail a few times here and there, but overall it's pretty forgiving. So if you're looking for something super challenging, this might not fully hit. Still though, I can't lie, it's enjoyable. It's one of those games where you can just chill, play through the stages, and have a good time without getting too stressed. So yeah, Escape School Obby takes the number 4 spot. But now we're getting into the top 3, and this is where things start getting way more interesting. Alright, coming in at number 3, we've got Skateboard Obby. Now this one immediately stands out compared to the others, because you're not just running and jumping anymore, you're doing the whole obby on a skateboard. And yeah, that changes everything. At first, I thought it would just be a normal obby with a small twist, but once you actually start playing, you realize it's way more chaotic than that. The movement feels faster, less predictable, and way more skill-based. You can't just line up your jumps like a normal obby, you have to control your speed, your direction, and your timing all at the same time. And that makes it way more intense. There were moments where I thought I had a jump perfectly lined up, and then I just went flying off the map because I had too much speed. And then other times, I didn't have enough speed and just fell short. So it really forces you to adjust and learn how the movement works. But that's also what makes it fun. When you actually hit a clean section, when you control your speed perfectly and land multiple jumps in a row, it feels way more satisfying than a normal obby. It's not just about jumping anymore, it's about control. Now of course, it's not perfect. Sometimes the controls can feel a bit too sensitive, especially if you're not used to it. And that can make certain parts feel a little frustrating until you get the hang of it. But once you adapt, it becomes way more enjoyable. Overall, this game adds something different to the usual obby formula, and that's why it stands out. So yeah, Skateboard Obby takes the number 3 spot. But now, we're getting into the top 2, and this is where things get crazy. Alright, coming in at number 2, we've got the Dropper. And yeah, this one is completely different from every other obby on this list. Because instead of jumping up and moving forward like a normal obby, in this game, you're falling straight down. And it sounds simple, but it gets intense fast. The moment I started playing, it already felt chaotic. You're dropping from high up, trying to dodge obstacles, spinning through tight gaps, reacting super quickly so you don't slam into something. And the speed is what makes it crazy. Everything is happening so fast that you barely have time to think. You just react. Move left, move right, try to survive, and if you mess up, you instantly know why. But that's also what makes it addictive. Every time you fail, you feel like, okay, I can do that better. And then you go again, and again, trying to get that perfect drop. And when you actually make it through a hard section clean, it feels so satisfying. Way more intense than a normal obby. But of course, it's not perfect either. Sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming, especially when there's a lot going on the screen. And if you're not used to fast reaction games, it might feel a bit too chaotic at first. But once you get into it, that chaos becomes the fun part. This game stands out because it completely changes the usual obby formula and turns it into something way more fast-paced and exciting. So yeah, the Dropper easily takes the number 2 spot. But now, we're at number 1. And this one is just on a completely different level. Alright, number 1. This is easily the most fun and unique obby I played on this list, Obby But You're on a Bike. And yeah, the name already sounds different, but actually playing it is a whole different experience. Because the second you spawn in, you realize this isn't a normal obby at all. You're not just running and jumping, you're balancing, controlling speed, adjusting your movement constantly, all while trying not to fall off. And that changes everything. The physics feel way more involved. You actually have to think about how you move, not just where you jump. If you go too fast, you lose control. Too slow, and you don't make the jump. So every move matters. And that's what makes it so satisfying. There were so many moments where I failed over and over again, but every time, I got a little bit better. I started understanding how to control the bike, how to approach certain obstacles, how to stay balanced. And when it finally clicks, it feels amazing. Like hitting a clean section in this game feels way more rewarding than completing a normal obby stage. Because you actually had to learn it. The level design also works really well with the bike mechanics. It's not just random obstacles, they're built in a way that forces you to use control, timing, and precision. So it constantly keeps you engaged. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this one got frustrating at times. There were moments where I messed up in the most stupid ways and had to restart, but that's also what made it addictive. Because you always feel like you're this close to getting it right. Compared to everything else on this list, this game stands out the most in terms of creativity, challenge, and overall fun. So yeah. Obby But You're on a Bike easily takes the number 1 spot. If you're gonna try any obby from this list, make it this one. Alright, final thoughts coming up. So yeah, That's my full ranking of the top 5 Roblox OBBY games I tested. Some of these were chill and easy, some got a bit repetitive, and some were just straight chaos, but that's what makes OBBYs fun in the first place. What really stood out to me is how much a small change can completely transform the game. Like adding a skateboard, making you fall instead of jump, or even putting you on a bike, it instantly makes the experience feel fresh. And that's really what separates the good OBBYs from the forgettable ones. But now I want to hear from you. Did you agree with my ranking, or would you switch some of these around? Drop your favorite Roblox OBBY in the comments, because I might do a part 2 and test even more. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.